we arrive at the third G in our list, give. And when we say give in the context of spiritual practices, we mean giving back to God, both of our money and our time. So the practices that we'll explore this week are tithe and Sabbath. Money is such a fun thing to talk about in church. But y'all know by now I have no problem talking about money and faith, because our relationship with our money is absolutely a spiritual issue, no matter how much of it or how little of it we have. I know it. I wrestle with it. Jesus knew it. He knew we would struggle with it. So your spiritual leaders do you a disservice when we do not speak and teach about money. Today I want to simply focus on the practice of giving our money, that repetition, and what that does to us, who we become as it shapes us. The word tithe is the name that we give to this practice. That's a very churchy word. It's in the Bible a lot. And it comes first from the Old Testament. We hear it many times there as an instruction for the Hebrew people, the set-apart people of God, for what they are to do with the fruit of their labors. In Leviticus, one of our favorite books, of course, the law states, "A tithe of everything from the land, whether grain or from the soil, or fruit from the trees, belongs to the Lord. It is holy to the Lord." And then we see that practice reinforced, reiterated again in Numbers and Deuteronomy and 2 Chronicles throughout the Old Testament. The purpose was for 1/10, that's what tithe means, 1/10 of the people's wealth to be given back to God. And it was intended to be used to take care of the spiritual community they were forming. The priests and their daily needs, of course, because they didn't work the fields, they needed to be taken care of, but also the collective work of that whole Hebrew community. It was intended to make sure there was enough for the poor, the widows, those among them who hadn't had bountiful harvests that year. The tithe was God's economic plan. It was God's design for everyone to be cared for. It was part of the social code for the people of God. The law wasn't just arbitrary rules that were generally really annoying for people to try to follow. Law is the way that groups of people agree to order their lives together so that everyone may survive and thrive. And the practice of giving our money also makes us become people who create space in the world that is bigger than ourselves. We contribute together to make places like this one that welcome all people into God's love, that meets the needs of those in our midst who fall upon hard times, that nurtures children and students in the tender years of their spiritual lives, that reaches out to our neighbors in need, caring for the hungry, the unhoused, the sojourners, new or passing through on a difficult journey. We join in God's plan for everyone to be cared for. And as the practice of giving shapes us, we also become clearer on our priorities. When that 10% withdrawal comes out of my bank account before anything else does, it's a reminder right there on the statement that this place holds my heart. It's a place where I spend most of my time. It's a cause that I believe in and I have committed my vocation to. It's a place where I know Jesus is changing lives. And then the rest of the priorities on my bank account, my bank statement, fall into line after my giving. That's not always fun, I'll be honest, but it keeps me aligned. So if tithe is the practice that shapes us in giving back our resources to God, Sabbath is the practice of giving back our time. It's another strange word for us today, and the practice of observing Sabbath is unique to the Abrahamic faith traditions, so Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Its origin comes from our shared texts in Genesis and Exodus. Sabbath enters the story right at creation. In Genesis 2, we've just finished the whole creation story. Each of the first 6 days is filled with the work of creating and making and breathing life into the world, and then on day 7, God rested. The word Sabbath is Hebrew in origin. If you have friends who are Jewish, you might hear them say Shabbat instead as they refer to their Friday evening meal, which is headed into Saturday, the 7th day. Shabbat means, quite simply, stop. There's not a deep spiritual or metaphorical meaning within it. Just stop, cease, Shabbat. Stopping is the first act of Sabbath. And then the remainder of the time is intended for rest, but you can't rest until you've stopped, until you've Shabbated. Stopping, stepping away, ceasing clears your head. It refreshes your mind. It shifts your attention and your perspective so you can come back to your work in a new and revived way to see the things you couldn't see before. When we practice Shabbat in the rhythm of our lives, it forms us into people who have the space to notice what's going on around us, notice what's going on inside of us, and to be curious about these things. It restores to us our capacity to wonder, a gift given by God that has long been tucked away under schedules and to-do lists. We become people who live in defiance of the tyranny of busyness. We tend to our own hearts and to the hearts of those in our households and around us. The rhythm of Sabbath brings about restoration and new life. Tithe and Sabbath look different to us at different stages. That's the whole point of practicing something. We're never expert when we start. We have seasons of strength and times of weakness, but the practices remain steady. They shape us over time. So just try it this week. Commit to giving something, a little more. Release what was given to you back into God's hands. And commit to stopping Shabbat this week and then next week. Give the time that you could fill with 100 endless things back to God and to yourself, and then see where it goes from there. These practices of giving, as we do them together over time, draw us into full life together in Jesus. Giving of our money, our tithe, takes us outside of ourselves, and giving of our time, Sabbath, restores us to ourselves in God's presence. They shape who we become, a courageous, curious community of people following Jesus, where everyone has a place to belong.